Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing very well and that you're having a good day so far. If you haven't seen, if you don't know what we're doing right now, I highly recommend you that you watch our intro video, which has the link on the description below, and go ahead and watch our previous video so you know what we are doing right now. So basically, we were able to populate a table view with this table view with 10 cells with 10 rows, and each row has a label test. But as you can see, the one we have on the left side is very different from the one we have on the right side. So what we want to do is just take this data that we were able to print from our API call, and then uh, bind this data to this table view so that we end up having this end result. Okay, so yeah, without any further ado, let's just get started. Yeah, before we get started, guys, please, if you do like it, if you do like my videos, you know, just drop a like, a comment, share, and subscribe as well. So first thing first, why don't we just go ahead and make our cell to have a height of 300 instead of 50, because as you guys can see, this one is a little bit bigger than the one we have on the left side. So go to table view on row height and give it 300. Okay, and you guys have to make sure here we just printing the array of albums that we got, right? The JSON album we got back, but now we want to store these albums, this album data on a property, on a class level property. Okay, now go ahead and create a class level property here, make it private. Okay, and let's make it a variable, because initially it will be empty and then we will give it the value after we make our API call. So call these albums. And what is albums? Album is an array of album model, isn't it? Okay, and go ahead and click equal empty. Perfect. But now the table view, instead of giving it 10, let's return albums that count. So whatever the albums that count has, it will return that array. So right now, what do you guys think is going to return? 0, because our array of album doesn't have anything, right? Okay, instead of now, let's see some. Okay, cool. But now, we want to fetch 100 albums, and we got the 100 albums here. So what we need to do, but this array of album model is only accessible within this scope. It's only accessible within this scope. Outside of this scope, this album cannot be used. Okay, so that's why we have the class level, so we can use this album wherever we want. Now take the album we have on the class level. You have to do self.album. Self mean referring to feed, and then we give it the album we got back from our API call. Okay, and now whatever we give the album, we feed the album with the new API call that we got. We have to reload our table view. Okay, self the table view, the reload data. And guys, I want to tell you the reason why I'm using self here, because I'm inside of a closure, and whenever you are inside of a closure, you have to use self, which means I'm referring to properties on a on a class level outside of this closure. Okay, and go ahead, do weak self. It's very important, because it's we don't want we don't want we don't want any captured properties. Okay, so it's just it's gonna take a long time if I have to explain it. Just put weak self and make these self optionals, because we don't want any leaking out memory or any return cycle. I'll make a video on it, guys, so you have a better understanding. So right now we have the albums. Initially it was empty, and now we give it an array of album. All that we got from our API call, we put it here. Now what do? We need to reload the data. If you reload the data, we have now these two functions running again. these two will be executed one more time. But now if you execute this guy, you will see, oh, now it's not 0, it's 100. Now it will return 100, and then this one will be executed again. Now let's go ahead and run our app and see what we have so far. Okay, now you guys see we have a larger cell because we said 300 now, but it fails. All right, perfect. Let's see why it fails, guys. It says UITableView the reload data must be from the main thread only. Okay, guys, so there is something very important that you need to understand. Okay, go back to feed, go back to service. Look, after we made, if you guys don't know what URL session is, it's just a way of making API call, and the URL session is executed in a background thread. Okay, it's executed in a background thread, and anytime you want to make any change on the user interface, on the UI, any change related to the screen, you have to make those change in the main thread. Okay, so if you are in a background thread, right, because right now we are working on a background thread and we executed the completion block inside of URL session, it means this is in a background thread, this line of code, and this line of code will be used to make changes in the UI. So what do? We have to move this guy in the main thread. Okay, we have to move it from the background thread to the main thread. So how will we do that? Go ahead and just below the scope, the close scope, do dispatch queue. Okay, click main, which means now I want to have access to main, and do it asynchronously. But asynchronously mean, and move this line of code inside of the scope. What asynchronous mean is just mean the background thread can run in parallel with the main thread. Okay, that's the only thing you need to understand as of now. So now we got the completion block on the main thread. We can reload the data, and obviously it's going to work. You have to understand the concept of multi-threading. Okay, it's very important, and I will make a video on it as well, so stay tuned. Okay, now we have our 100 cells. Okay, and it's perfect. We don't have 10 no more, but 100, and it's perfect. That's what we wanted. Now what do we do, guys? Instead of we need to, because right now we have a regular cell and we need this kind of cells, we need to register custom cells. And what does this custom cell has? What do these custom cells have? It's only a background image view and a label on top. Alright, why don't we just go ahead and create it right now? So go ahead and on view, because cell is a view, isn't it? Go ahead and create a new view, command N, make it a Swift file, and call it album cell. Okay. Now we need to import UIKit because we will be dealing with UIKit stuff. So it's a class. We call it album cell, and it's of type UITableView cell. Okay. And guys, make sure album cell is the same as the one you write here, and also it will be the same as the cell we are going to register. Okay, it's very important. You have to make sure they are the same. But now we need to initialize it. We need to initialize with a style and the reuse identifier. That's how feed will be able to have access to these cells or dequeue them. And we need to get all this code from Apple. So go ahead and do super.init and give it the same style you have above. You say these styles. These styles is coming from this one. That's the same. Reuse identifier. We are using this reuse identifier. Okay, and these we will be receiving these from our feed. Okay, and now it requires to just add this line of code required in it. So go ahead and create a label, and then create a background image view we need this UI image view and we need the label. Let's go ahead and create those two very quick and make them private as well. So private image background, call it image thumbnail. Okay, it's going to be a UI image view. And just let's create a custom image inside. Let's image view equal UI image view. Okay, and return the image, the IV, and then construct it. Okay, let's give it a background real quick. So we just said background color equal red. Okay, now we need the label, don't we? Let's go ahead and do private label. Oh, we need to say it's a variable. Private bar album label, call it album label please, which is UI label. Go ahead and create a label inside. Okay, return the label, construct it, give it a demi data right now, label that text. Yes, say Adele, hello by Adele. Okay, and now we need to add these two views. We need to add them on a sub view. We need to add them here on the view of this album cell. Now go ahead below the override in it, do add sub view. What are we adding first? Image view, right? So and do one more time, add album label. So the reason why we added image view first, it's not image view, it's image thumbnail. The reason why we added image thumbnail first is because it's in the back and the label is in the front. So the label in the front and the image is in the back. So if you do it the other way around, the image will hide the label, and you don't want that. You want the label to be seen, right? And go ahead and do some layout on these images and labels. Go ahead and click image, type image.snap, then make constraints, call it make. See, so you want to make, what do you want to make actually? You want to make edges equal to super view, and let's give it an inset of 4, a padding of 4. Okay, so that's the only thing. Basically it means we take the image, we pin it to the 4 corners. That's it, with a padding of 4. So 4 point here, 4 point here, 4 point here, and 4 point here. What about the album label now? Album label dot snap, the make constraints. So we want to make it what? We want to make it centered to the X of equals super view. So basically we're taking this label, we want to make it centered to the X, so it's we will have the same amount to the left and the right. Okay, and we need to pin it to the bottom as well. Make bottom equal to super view, and give it an instead of a padding of 4 maybe. Yeah, it's okay. Now what do we have to do? Come back to feed, and instead of registering a regular UITableView, where do we have it again? Okay, instead of registering a UITableView, we need to register our custom cell. Okay, and now we need to downcast these cells into an album cell, because right now it's just a regular cell, but it's gonna fail since it's optional. Okay, we don't want to we don't want to use a main operator. Now we need to guard the cell. But what happens if it doesn't downcast? Okay, just return regular UITableView cell. Sometimes guys, you just want to make it fail because it will be an unexpected behavior, and that's definitely not what you want. You want to catch it before it goes to release mode. Now cell is an album cell. Let's see if I step in cell. What do I have? Okay, let's just return this so far and see what we have. Okay, that's not bad, right? Now instead of giving it hello by Adele, let's go ahead and go back to the album cell. Let's make this one public. Don't make it private. And go back to feed. Go ahead and access the cell. The label. What album label, right? Album label dot text. Let's give it the albums. And we need to access the index path dot row. And then we need to get the artist name. Okay, so basically what I'm doing here, guys, it's just I have access to the cell, and I just step into the label, and I want to modify the text. So I'm just referring to the albums, the one we have on the class level property. And remember, guys, this album was received from our API call, and I need to have access to the index path row. So every album, the album have it's 100 of them, so we need to map every row. Let's say album at 0.0, we need to map it to the first cell. Album 1, we map it to the second cell. Album 3, we map it to the third cell. So that's what we do. That's why I'm saying index path the row, because I cannot tell you exactly what row I am on right now. So I just say, all right, just take whatever row you are on and map it to the cell, and give it the album, the artist name or property. Go ahead and run it. And now instead of having hello by Adele, we should be having the artist name. Okay, you guys see that, right? But this is a very ugly way of doing it. We don't want our view controller to be able to do what we just did, right? We just want to pass it an album, give it the appropriate album, and let now the cells handle the stuff itself. Okay, so how will we do that? So go back to album cell and remove this line of code, and go ahead and create make it private again. Go ahead and create a variable album. That's the album we will be getting from feed. Okay, it's going to be album model, and it will be an optional, and it's something, it's how will I call it again? It's a property observer. Right now it's a property observer. So whenever you receive the album cell, whenever you receive the album from feed, I just want you to execute the line of code that we will be putting between 14 and 16 between these did set. And what do we want to do inside? We want to modify image. We want to change the album label. Album label dot text equal. So now it's equal to album dot name by album. So So guys, what I'm doing here is just concatenating two different properties into one single string, and I'm returning the string. Grab the artist name, okay, and run this up just to see what we have so far. So again, this album, guys, refer to this album we have just on top. Okay, it didn't work because obviously we need to change that. Okay, this one is private now, we cannot have access to it, but we can have access to album. Again, we go to the albums we have on top, and we need to give it the appropriate index path.row. Now run. Okay, you see we have 21 Savage mode 2 or whatever by 21 Savage. Okay, but you guys see we have optionals, and we don't want this optional to show up, and we have our labels, going beyond the edges of our screens. So we need to hold it from here, and we need to hold it here. Let's go ahead and do it first. So how we will be doing it, first thing first, we need to access into the label, and we give it number of lines to be 0. It means now we can have more than one line. We can have 1, 2, 3, anything. And now instead of centering things to the X, we might as well just center it to the left and center it to the right and give it a padding, okay? Because syntax is not working right now. Let's go ahead and click the leading and then trailing, and then we make it equal to superview, give it an inset of 4. Let's see what we have so far. So the reason why I'm rerunning the app all the time for you guys to see what's going on is that's how it works in the professional world. You just don't want to make thousands of changes and then want to check it later. You're not going to be able to know where, if there is a bug, you're not going to be able to know where the bug got introduced, and you want to catch that the sooner you catch it, the better it is. So that's why I'm making these small changes, and again, you will have to commit them, okay? So you can always revert back and see where your bugs got introduced. Okay, so it's working right now. It's not bad, but we need a little bit of padding here. I don't know why I gave it a padding of 4, but it's not working right now. How about we give it -4 and see what's up? No, it's not here. It's actually label, and we need to give it let's give it 6. Let's give it 6. Okay, it's going all the way out, and that's not nice. Let's go ahead and give it 10. I think this time it didn't work. Okay, good. You see, guys, we have a little bit of padding, and the reason why I guess it was not working before, it's because we add this subview inside of we add this text inside of the subview. All right, instead of adding it inside of the UI image view, but it doesn't matter. Let's just keep going, and we will be needing how to say it again. We will be needing a ViewModel to set the properties, and in order to do that, we need to come, because we don't want our cell to be able, because the cell is just a UI view, okay? We don't want a regular UI view to be able to know how to set. If you use the MVC model, ViewModel controller, you can go ahead and do it, but since we're doing an MVVM, our VM will be useless if we don't take advantage of it. So come here and create a new, on the view model, go there and create a new newsfeed file and call it album view model. Okay, and go ahead and make it a struct. Always guys, start it for struct, and whenever you feel necessary, just go ahead and make it a class. But right now, make it struct. Okay, and we need a private variable album. Make it a constant. Album, okay, and it will be album model type. Now we don't want album view model to be able to instantiate this property. Okay, so who will be able to instantiate the property? It's the cell, because the cell will be the client of this album view model. And how will we do that? We need to put it inside of the initializer, and we have the album as an input we will be getting from album cell. Okay, so guys, if you don't know what this is called, it's called dependency injection. So we need the self dot album. Self dot album means self here dot album, this guy, equal album means the album we just got from the initializer. Okay, now all we need to do on this album view model, compute properties. Therefore we will create a computed property. Let's see, we need the name, album name. Yeah, album name, and artist. That's what we need, right? And it's a string. So what do we need to return? We need to return the album, the name, the album, that artist, right? Album, that's artist name. So that's what we need to compute, guys, and let's go ahead and implement it. Go back to album cell and go ahead and cut this out, or just erase this line of code. And whenever we receive album from the feed, we just need to configure view model. We need to go ahead and create this function. Okay, go a little bit below, require create a file private function, and go ahead and first thing first, we need to unwrap the album, because the album is optional, isn't it? You guys see it's an optional. Now we need to unwrap it. Go ahead and do got album equal album, else we need to return. We don't want to execute, we don't want to do anything if we're not able to unwrap it. But now now what do we do if we unwrap it? We need to create our view model and put the album in the view model. Equal album view model. Go ahead and click that in it and see what happened. That's an album model, album view model. Okay, that in it. Now it's asking album. Okay, and go ahead and give it the album we just unwrapped. Now let's see the whole purpose why I made it private. I made it private because if I do view model, that I don't have access to the album. Now once I create the view model, I'm not able to change it no more, and that's the whole purpose of making it private and a constant select. And now what do? Now we have the view model. The view model need to set up these two properties. Okay, but right now let's focus on the label first. Go ahead and check the label, the album label, that text equal the view model we just created here, dot album name and artist. Now this is computed from the view model and just sets it here. Let's run again. Now this weird optional will fade away. Now you guys see it's working very fine. What else do we need to do? You can make your commit here and get to the next stage. And the next stage is every album has a thumbnail, and we need to have access to its thumbnail, and we will use this thumbnail to create the image. Okay, now go back to where is it again, the view model, and let's go ahead and compute the thumbnail URL. So go ahead and do thumbnail, and make sure it's a URL, guys, because we will be constructing the URL on the view model before it goes to the album cell. Okay, and we will make it optional, but let's just keep going so far. Let URL equal URL.init. Okay, we initialize it with a string. Where do we get the string from? Album dot thumbnail, but it's it might not work. Okay, we go ahead and return the URL. You see, it's an optional URL. Is an optional, so it might not work. We might not be able to construct a URL from our string. So what do? We need to guard that URL. What if it doesn't work? Return nil. Okay, so now we need to make it optional here, because if you don't make it optional, we will have an error here. Let's check this out. You guys see, it said nil is incompatible with return type URL, because we said we are returning URL and then return nil here. It doesn't make any sense. But now we got the thumbnail. What do we do with the URL and thumbnail? We need to come back here and then use the view model to make their image, right? I want to do it manually, but let's just go ahead and import a port file called SD web image. Go ahead and command space and access the terminal. ls cd to your thing, cd to your document. Mine is desktop or top 100, and make sure you open port file. Make sure you open port file, and just a little bit below part snapkit, go ahead and part this guy, SD web image. Make sure the W is capital, SD capital, and I capital, and go ahead and part install that, and let it do the magic. Okay, alright, cool. Now the dependencies are downloaded. We need to import SD web image, right? Import SD web image, and go ahead and click go ahead and have access to this image thumbnail property, and do .sd web image with URL. Just give it the view model .thumbnail, but view model .thumbnail is an optional. Let's just see what we got. Go ahead and run. Guys, again, I want to tell you guys why you want to use SD web image. It just caches the image now, so whenever it downloads the image one time, it's not going to download it again. It will be using the image throughout the whole life cycle of the run of the app. Okay, maybe the first time it might be a little bit slow, but then it will be used nicely. So you see guys, now we have the thing. We have our image showing up, but it was red before it shows up, right? Let's go ahead and remove the background color. Maybe if you want to be more professional, you can just put a placeholder, so just spinning placeholder, and then whenever the image comes, the image will replace the spinning placeholder. Yeah, you will have to read a little bit of the Apple documentation and a little bit of UX or user design, so you kind of know what's going on. So yeah, let's go ahead and make our title bold. Let's make it bold and give it a font of maybe 18 or 16. Now go back to the label. Go ahead and do label dot text of that font actually equal UI font dot bold size 18. And let's just give it a white color. Text label dot text color. Let's go ahead and click that white and run it. As you guys see, it's getting a little bit close, but now what we will have to do is just go ahead and you guys see it takes some time before it shows up, but that's okay because that's the first time you fetch it. Okay, but now as you keep fetching, you see it's white. You see guys, it's white, but as soon as scroll back up, it's not white no more because the thing is already cached. If we did not cache it, we'll have to make another API call, or anytime we scroll it will make the API call. But now what we want to do, we want to click on the cell and then have this beautiful transition on the new screen, and that is what we will be doing next. And then we will execute some testing. There is two way I can either, I'm not sure yet, but I'm thinking about using quick and nimble, or use you know XC test or XC unit test or whatever. So guys, from the world, that's a good title. So guys, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. You guys learned a lot, and if you do, please just like, share, and always leave a comment if there is things that I need to make a little bit clear, or if you have any questions, or if I said something wrong, just please guys let me know, and I will go ahead and take care of that. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next video.